Hey everybody, welcome to Cali Girl Blog. I'm Callie, thank you for joining me. And today I'll be reviewing Love and Marriage in Huntsville, Season 5, Episode 13, To Be or Yacht to Be. All right, you guys, so we're starting this episode off with the Holts. They are still in Destin, Florida on their family vacation. It's the next day, the Scotts have left, and we see Melody's mom has arrived. So Melody's mom just checks on her. Melody is getting ready, and she's like, how have things been going, because she just got there. And Melody said, Martell, he been staying out the way. He's on a different floor, and as of yet, it hasn't been any problems. She said, but it has been a long time since, they've all been together. So, anytime she feels a little off, her energy is messing with her a little bit, she goes off, spends a little bit of time with herself to get her energy back where it needs to be. And that makes sense because, like she said, it's been a long time. A lot has transpired in 2 years. That's the last time they took a family vacation together. So, there may be some things that she sees, remembers, might hit her the wrong way a little bit. She need to, go off in another room or whatever and just be to herself for a minute. Meanwhile, Martell is downstairs talking to his mom. Martell and his mom agree that, spending the time there has been some of the best days. His mom said the best days of her life, and he said for him as well, because he never thought that they would even be in a place to do this again as a family. His mom expressed that she was heartbroken when him and Melody split, because they are her family. They are really all that she has. So her heart was broken to see that happen. She said, so for us to all be here together at this time, I will cherish that forever. She said everything has been fun, peaceful. It seems like nothing has ever happened. However, upstairs with Mel and her mom said, I can imagine there's been a couple of things that have been triggers for you. Total opposite type of conversation at this time. Like, things are good. However, although things have been good, Martell took it upon himself to invite the Scotts, who also happened to be in Florida, and she doesn't understand how he was able to invite the Scotts to a trip that he was invited to himself. She told her mom, but that's Martell for you, but you know what? It's cool. I know how to be nice. Her mom said, how are things with you and Tisha? And Mel said, I'm not looking for us to be anything. She said Martell invited them over. We had conversations. We laughed a little bit, and they left, and that's it. It's nothing for me to be thinking about. I wonder if we really can be, reflecting and thinking, is there a possibility of, no, they gone. It was a moment. The moment is past. I keep it moving. I think we all have people in our life that we do that with. I know I do. Back downstairs with Martell and his mom, they're talking about the kids, specifically little Martell, how he's so excited and so happy. And he told his grandma, I'm so glad that mom and dad, they're getting along. That's good that he was able to see that, because with the clear understanding that they're not getting together, for that to bring his heart joy and warmth to see his parents getting along, then this idea that Melody came up with was a good one. Martell said he would definitely love for the family to go on more trips, but it can change down the line, because once they start dating other people, that's a lot of moving parts, but they'll consider that at that time. Right now, though, this is perfect as far as family vacation. In his confessional, Martell said, things are going so good right now, I wish I could just freeze time right at this moment. And I said, well, if you freeze time, that means that she won't be dating anybody else and you won't either. Oh well, time does continue to move. So everybody makes their way to the boat, mamas included. The yacht, and this is their last day. So Melody wanted to do something a little bit more exciting for the kids and let them experience being on a yacht. It's nice too. So Martell is telling her, like, girl, this is nice. And she was like, you like it? Is this your first time on a yacht? And he was like, yep. So he's getting an experience by default of the kids' experience. So when he said this was his first time on the yacht, she said, it's nice, huh? Welcome. It's a nice life. He gonna say, girl, stop. Like, he feeling a little intimidated, right? And she was like, what? I'm just saying it's nice. Like, calm down. In his confessional, Martell said, just like Mel, she's been throwing jabs at him the whole time since they've been on the trip, but he's not gonna let it get under his skin. He's gonna let it jump right off of him. Unfortunately, Mel gets some disappointing news. There's a storm that looks like it's on the way, and it could impact their activities for the day. For example, getting out on the water. Mel said, you know what, let me get this karaoke going. So she's moving on to another activity for now. Here go Mel being Mel, as Martell would say. So they got the karaoke going or whatever. And Mel says, Martell, can we play my song? He was like, why would you even? And she's like, I'm just playing. Malia asked if they can play her song. And she was like, Malia asked, and I already told her no, but I'm asking you, but I'm only playing. She hitting all his soft spots. In his confessional, he said he's grown a lot since Vegas because when they had the last blow up about the song, he was very upset about that and his children having the opportunity to hear that song, which was a negative song about their father. He said, but today he believes that he's showing growth because he's continuing to put the kids first. He's not going to blow up. He said, but the fact that if we're trying to get in a better place and enjoy this trip, Melody bringing up this song is tacky. It may have not been the best thing to do, but Martell, you can take getting a little bit of work, okay? You can get the work. You can get this work because of all that you've put her through. Ciao, bye. So next we see Maurice, who stops by Marsau's house. Marsau is doing yard work. Maurice was like, I just wanted to stop by and talk to you about a few things. I don't know if Tisha told you what's going on with Kimmy, but let's sit down because this is a sit down conversation. In his confessional, Maurice said, as a husband, I have to be strong for Kimmy, but I don't have to be strong for Marsau. And that's good. That's sort of what I talked about earlier when on the previous episodes, they were talking about how they as a family will take turns, switching off times to sit with Kimmy through her chemo and other things that she's going through, because everybody is going to need some type of emotional release. And so that's good that Maurice can find that in his brother. So they sat down and Maurice said, I don't know if Tisha told you, but we stopped by the event that you guys were having for your daughters. Kimmy told Tisha that she is going through breast cancer. Marsau said, is this certain? Maurice said it's 100% certain. Marsau said, Tisha already told me, but not like this, not with this great detail or sense of certainty. Maurice said, I figure she told you. And Marsau said, yeah, she told me, but she said it was like uncertain. Maurice kind of looked at him like, what? Uncertain? Like, what? And I was like, why would she deliver the news as if it's uncertain? But hey, maybe, who knows? In his confessional, Marsau said Tisha told him what was going on and he knew what was happening with Kimmy, but he didn't know the seriousness of it. And I'm just confused. Like, okay, so either you knew that it was true, meaning it's a fact that she has breast cancer, or you believed it was uncertain and therefore more tests had to be done to confirm it. I'm confused on his whole explanation of how he knew, what Tisha said, so on and so forth. But anyway, he said he's seeing Maurice, his older brother, who has always been a source of strength, scared at this time. Marsau asked Maurice how she doing, and he said she's feeling all of the emotions, and I have been tasked to tell all of her friends because she can't continue to relive the story, telling people over and over and over. He said he can tell she's trying to be strong and not think about mortality, but that's something that you have to think about. And he said, I just got married, and how can I find something like this to hold on to? And no sooner than I find it gets snatched away. How could we have not found this sooner? And he shares something that is weighing heavy on his heart with guilt. And he said when he was pushing Kimmy to stop working as a nurse and go into real estate, we all remember that some seasons ago, he says she missed her mammogram, her annual mammogram, and pushed it because they were moving to a different insurance. And at that time she was told it's too soon for her to get the mammogram. And then she forgot about it. And now she's in the situation that she's in. Not saying that that's the cause, just saying that at one time it was something that you just forgot about. And now you look up and now she's dealing with breast cancer. And annual appointments, regular checking, so important. Preventative, it's all a preventative. Ladies, get your annual mammograms. Do your breast checks, your self-check. It's scary because even when you're checking yourself, you're checking and you hoping and praying that everything you feel is what you felt the last time and the last time before that to ensure a sense of normalcy, right? But out of fear, some people don't do certain things like checkups, breast checks, going to their annual appointments, so on and so forth. But it's nothing more scarier than not going, and then because those preventative measures were not taken, now the situation is worse than ever. So early detection of anything, of course, is always best. Maurice is also visibly upset. He's getting teary-eyed, and he's like, he feels like perhaps if he wouldn't have been pushing her at that time, then the mammogram wouldn't have got pushed out, and possibly her having breast cancer is something that could have been prevented. And Marsau is like, Maurice, don't do that to yourself. Maurice said, I got to tell somebody. I can't tell her. I can't express this to her, but I got to be able to express it to somebody. Marsau said, Maurice, you got to block that out. You cannot sit here and be on a what if I could have and what if. In his confessional, he said, I could see what Maurice is doing. I could see it in his eyes, getting his mind fixed on him having some fault in her not getting the mammogram sooner. And he said, you know what? He can't do that. This is not the time for that. And I'd be doggone if we gonna be standing in front of a fire talking about who started the fire. Talk about that after the fire has been put out. For sure. Maurice said, I'll be trying to be strong for her in her presence, but the truth is I'm weak on the inside, but I need her to see me being strong while I'm just as scared as she is. Marsau said, I just don't like the fear that you guys are in every day, all day, and you guys are so headstrong to where you don't do anything but think. He said, and I can't imagine what a thinker is going to go through. And let me tell you what a thinker goes through. Hell, okay, depending on the situation. And that's why you got to lean on prayer, because you need the peace. This is the time where you have to have what scripture says, peace that surpasses all understanding, like moments like this. Because as Marsau said, being alone with your thoughts is scary. He said it's scary for him. And that's why I'm glad that Kimmy, Maurice, they're gonna have some family to have their own individual times of relief with, because holding it all in, be an emotional wreck. Maurice said he feels like as a husband, he's supposed to be a protector and a provider, as well as a problem solver. And this right here is a problem that he cannot solve. Marsau said, well, what can you control in this? And Maurice said, I don't know. And now he starts to break down, because he's like, that's the thing. I have zero control about this thing. He can't fix it, and he can't make it go away. He said he wished he could even control his own emotions, and he can't even do that. Now both him and Marsau are crying. He said, but I have to continue to be strong for her, because I can see that when I'm strong and she's weak, it gives her strength. He said, it's almost like she's acting like it doesn't exist. And Marsau said, you know why? Because you're so busy being strong and she's so busy trying to be strong. You guys are both looking at each other being strong, but you're lying to each other. And if that ain't a word right there, allowing yourself to feel what's happening, it doesn't mean you're weak. It just means you're going through. That's all. And that you're gonna go through and come out on the other side. I walk through the valley. I walk through the valley of the shadow. Not stay in, not pitch a tent. I walk through it. It just means you're going through, but it has nothing to do with your strength. Marsau was giving him some good advice. He said, you need to be there for her. Cry on your wife's shoulder. Whatever, just be there. If you're sad, be sad. Maurice said, I don't know if she needs strength or she needs me to be real. She definitely needs you to be real, because that is strength. In his confessional, Maurice said, holding up this shield of strength, he doesn't know how healthy it is, but it definitely feels good to have a release. He said, being an entrepreneur for almost all of his life, he understands what it means to be strong, lean on yourself, have faith. And in this moment, he feels mortal. Yeah, life will do that to you, to us all. Break us down. But we get back up. We fall down. Stop. He said he feels humbled because now he needs God more than he's ever needed God before. Sometimes people say, why God? And it's really just so that he can get the glory in the end. Because you're going to come out on the other side, but you may have to go through some things. Back at Marsau's, he said, Maurice, I'm so sorry that this happened, and my heart goes out to you guys, for you and my sister. He said, I love you guys so much. Maurice said, we know. They both break down while they're hugging it out. We've never seen the two of them as brothers in this way, in such a vulnerable state. But it's a situation where your vulnerability will come out whether you want it to or not. Oh my gosh, they're both crying. It's bringing tears to my eyes. Aww. Back over in Destin, Florida with the Holts, they decided to wait out the storm, and the storm passed and the sun came out. So everybody is back on their excited bandwagon, and the kids are in their life jackets ready to get their swim on. So they're seated, and Mel's mom says, so this is exciting, us being here as a family. It took us a minute to get here, but we did it. We got here. Out of nowhere, Martell starts talking about past hurts as a result of the relationship. He says, you normally hear that the woman is the one that was hurt, but I was hurt too, going through things. And it's just like, wait a minute, how did the conversation shift here? And Melody is giving him the same look like, wait a minute, what? He said, we've been angry, but you just let some time pass and we're good. We're here and we're good. And Melody said, well, I can tell you right now, I'm not going to be saying yes to nothing unless the attitudes are right. The energy needs to be good. And you could tell that Melody was a little bit triggered. Her mom said, well, what I think he's saying is he has healed from everything that has gone on. She said, Martell, you've healed? This is what Melody said to Martell. He stuttered, I am. You probably should have said, I am trying to heal, but I am not yet healed, because that's the real truth. He then was honest and said, okay, I can't say 100%. Mel said, well, what things do you believe you're showing that says you are healed? He said, well, for one, you've thrown several jabs at me, but I've been like, you know what, just laugh it off, let it be. Acting oblivious, Mel said, here on the trip? He said, yeah, you've said certain things, and I could have retaliated like I did before. And they flash back to some of the jabs that she's been throwing, some of the little comments that she's been making. He's referring to them as jabs, but some of the little comments that she's been making. Back on the boat, he said, honestly, I just want us to be on the best page possible. And Mel's mom said, you just have to keep respecting each other. Martell said, right. At that time, Martell's mom joins them. Melody quickly catches her up to speed and says, we were talking about Martell being healed from the divorce. Martell said, Melody, when you mentioned your song, that was a trigger, because I was like, wait, what? And in all honesty, I can see how that can be a trigger. But I imagine she saw triggers every time she logged onto her social media, and her DMs, and her memories, and suing for full custody, calling her unstable and unfit. I mean, if you want to talk about jabs. But yeah, I get it, Martell. It was a trigger for you, for sure. He said, I didn't react, though, about you asking to play that song in front of my kids. He said, I could have, but you know what? It's cool. You made the song. It's out. I'm assuming that was a part of your healing process as well. Both Martell and Mel's mom sitting there watching. Martell's mama shaking her drink like, mm-hmm. In response to Martell saying he didn't react to Melody being funny, Mel said, I'm proud of you, Martell. Mel's mom said, I am too. Mel's mom said, yeah, because a year ago he would have went ballistic. His mom looked at Mel's mom like, girl, you know how she is about her son. Don't. That's too much on Martell. Not too much on Martell. Not too much on Martell in front of her. She said, yeah, but it's a new day. I'm with my family. It happened, and let it do what it do, okay? Picking up on the communication style of his mama and how she may handle things, Mel said, Mama Holt, in your family, did you guys talk about things, or did you just sweep it under the rug? Things that happened in the family that was a problem. Did you talk about them? What did you do? She said, you know what, Mel, my life was totally different than y'all's today. I worked 2 jobs. I worked my ass off. Does that mean you didn't communicate? She's asking about the communication style, not your resume. She said, that's why when I go to work, they gonna do what they supposed to do. What the hell does that mean? And while I'm at work, if they don't do what they're supposed to do and they get in trouble and I find out, I'm gonna whoop their ace. She said, I just did what I knew how to do. So in other words, the answer to your question, Mel, is no. We did not talk about things that happened in the family that were probably not the best and swept it under the rug. And that is a lot of families, okay? Can't single it out and make it seem like it's just Mama Holt. That's a lot of families. Because his mom gave her version of an answer but didn't really answer the question, Mel elaborated and said, okay, so I'm saying, like, say for instance, if something happened to him when he was a kid, he was sad, something happened in school, because Martell, you told me that you got bullied a lot in school, right? Martell said, I don't think I really mentioned that to her. Mel said, but that's not considered whining as a kid. His mom said, yeah, it is. Mel said, not when you're 7 and 8. In her confessional, she said, listening to Martell's mom about her communication style that she had with her children when he was growing up, it really says a lot, because she's like, that's just the way it is in my house. We don't do that. That's a lack of patience and interest engaging with your child and their feelings. Because, not saying his mom was a bad mom, I'm not saying that at all, but a lot of us have grown up in households where our parents are just like, we don't have time to talk about your feelings, okay? It's not about your feelings. Do what I told you to do, and that's it. I'm not trying to sit down and have a conversation with you to tell me how you feel about nothing. And that definitely can impact a person's communication style and the way they interact with people as they become adults and they have relationships with friends and significant others. They don't know no other way, but that's definitely ineffective. Back on the boat, Mel said, in order to change the trajectory of things, you have to understand where you've been and heal from that so that you can effectively move forward. Mama Holt said, that's why it's good that the kids have both of you there, because as a mother raising 2 boys, I would have done anything to have my kid's father there. Mel said, but your grandma helped a lot, didn't she? That doesn't mean the same thing, Mel. Now, I'm just going to say, I know the whole it takes a village and all that, but it's not the same thing. And to Mama Holt's point, she said, yeah, my mother was there with me, but I didn't throw my kids on my mother. Quelling the conversation, Mel's mom said, the point is there is nothing like family. Mel's mother also adds whether the children are related by blood or by marriage. Their children already has a brother that was conceived outside of the marriage, but that's their brother. Martell said yes, and I hope it stays the same. You can tell Mel's energy is off. I don't know what happened when they got on that boat, but Mel's energy is off because her response to Martell saying he hopes that everything can be the same, Mel says, yeah, as long as you don't start no shit with me, woo, I'm gonna go upstairs and check on these kids. Something triggered her. And both Mel's mom and Martell's mom are looking at her like, girl, wait a minute, what's going on? Wait, what just happened here? I'm like, is it bothering you a little bit that he's not feeding into what he sees you trying to do as far as what he said, you throwing jabs? He's not getting bothered because that's not what you want him to do. That's going to disrupt the trip. But it seemed like something in that conversation happened. I don't know if it's because he said, hey, I've been trying to be cool and you've been the one that's been throwing jabs. You know, why invite someone, but then you're kind of antagonizing them here and there. Anyway, Martell said, you know what? I got to overlook everything that Mel be saying. And his mama said, well, my grandma used to say, huh, child, I ain't studying her, meaning I ain't thinking about her. Studying her. I remember I asked my grandmother, what is studying? She said, it means I ain't studying you. I'm not thinking about you. Anyway, his mom said, I ain't studying her. Y'all just take care of them kids. That's all I know. And all I know is Martell is getting tired of the jab. You can tell. So it's later that evening. The whole family, they're going out to dinner. Martell reserved made a dinner reservation at a restaurant, and he reserved a private table for just him and Melody so they can have a heart-to-heart conversation. He said he wants them to talk a little bit about their past as well as, you know, where they're headed for their future. I'm like, well, you need to make talking about the past not long and drawn out because you will never be able to reach where you're going in the future if you keep talking about the past. So they get to their tables and the waitress is like, okay, so we have mom and dad here and we have everybody else over there. And over there is like behind some like decorative plants and trees. And Mel is looking like, oh, wait a minute, what? Hold up. She assumed that they would all be at one table as a family, as they probably all assumed. However, Martell's mom is in the background cheesing. Mel don't see it though. In her confessional, Mel said, you know what? When I got here, I was hungry and I was planning on having dinner with my family, but now I'm having dinner with my ex-husband. I have lost my appetite. He said, I've been pondering some things, you know, that I want to have an open discussion with Mel about, and hopefully she'll be open to have this discussion with him. You know, Martell is very impulsive. That's dangerous. Just like he impulsively invited the Scotts without telling her. And now he impulsively set up a different or separate dinner table for just the two of them outside of the family. It's their last day on the trip, and Mel, like everybody, probably was expecting and looking forward to having a family dinner, and now you take us somewhere private to have a discussion about our tumultuous past? Oh my gosh. Back at the restaurant, they're getting to the table. Mel said, I want to be over there with them. He was like, oh, I know, but it's not enough room. She said, oh, I saw some room. He sits down. He said, I just wanted us to be able to have some dialogue. And she's like, about what? He said, well, really, we haven't had a chance to talk. She said, and this vacation is the time to do that? He said, yeah, this is the perfect time to do it. In his confessional, he said there's been no fighting, no anything on this trip. It's been peaceful. So he thinks that this is the right time to talk to her and let her know that, hey, we can be good, we can be around each other, and everything can be fine. He trying to make small talk, talking about, so you been tired? She's like, a little bit. He's like, yeah, long day, long couple of days. Getting straight to the point, she's like, so what did you want to talk about? Because you got us over here at our own table away from everybody else. Her whole expression is, I am not with the bullshit. He starts off with, yeah, so we always talked about all the things that I told you wasn't doing in the marriage. Wrong road already, but let me keep watching. He said, and I probably was childish and not as accepting as I should have been. She said, are you talking about, and they blocked the word out. She said, because I'm tired of hearing about, and they blocked the name out again. She's like, I'm over it. Seriously, dang. He was like, no. So we don't know who the person is or the thing that she was talking about, but she said, that's all I ever hear you talking about mostly. He said, girl, look how long that's been. I guess he's referring to the last time it came up. He said, it's been 2 years. I guess he's now attempting to do what he discussed with Marsau, and the fact that he never asked why she wasn't doing what she was doing. But the time has passed for that. None of that matters. You guys are divorced. What are you asking for? Tips for your future wife? Because it doesn't matter. You didn't ask those questions at the appropriate time while you were in the marriage. So it doesn't make any sense to rehash that on the last day of what you call a perfect family vacation. It's nonsensical, Martell. Melody said, can I ask you a question? She said, did I ever give you, and they blocked out the words, but basically she said, have I ever rocked the mic? Did I ever rock your mic? And he was like, of course. She said, oh, okay. He said, well, let's not make it all about rocking the mic. But she probably wanted to make that clear on camera because at the reunion, you made it seem like that's the whole reason why you stepped out in the first place, as if that's a legitimate reason. He said, we've moved on so far past that. I mean, it's been years. She said, oh, okay, so you don't want to know. Gotcha. So we're sitting at a separate table for what now? In her confessional, Mel said, with things going so good on the trip, why would he think that now is a good time to hash things out about the past? She said, I have done the necessary work to be in the place of peace. She said, but if you feel like there's some things you need to get off your chest, Martell, call Dr. Francis. For real, don't dial my number. Them days are over. I do not have to hear how you feel about the past. Work your past out in therapy so that you can have a better future. He told Mel, I'm trying to move forward. No negativity at all. Yeah, see, he doesn't really know how to communicate because in the confessional, he said he just wanted to talk to her about them moving forward with being able to be good, to be around each other. He's not saying any of that. He started off talking about the past. Then he just moves on and says, so overall, how has this trip been for you? Bruh, you could have had me sitting at the table with my children, my mother and my mother-in-law. So yeah, he says, so how's the vacation been? Mel just laughs to herself like, what in the foolishness? She said, overall, the trip has been fine. Although I wasn't expecting you to invite other people to come by, I did feel like that was a little inappropriate. Martell said their kids know our kids. They was right next door, so I just felt like, why not? But why not tell her in advance? Why not ask her how she feels about it? You know how things are between her and Tisha. But as you said last episode, she needs to get over it. He said, we were having a good time when they got here. She said, I was having a good time before they got there, and I was having a good time when they left. In other words, their presence wasn't needed. He said, dang, girl, hush, Mel. She said, nope. I'm gonna say everything that's on my mind. She said, I will never be trusting or be friends with anybody who tried to team up and have war against me. They will always be my enemies. And she emphasized and said, always. Martell says, who tried to team up against you? Conversation over. I need to go sit at this table with my family because this right here, it's not working for me. It's not working for me. She said, you were the ringleader, so why don't you tell me? Here go Martell. Huh? Slowing it down, she said, you were the ringleader, so why don't you tell me? Looking up in the sky dramatically, he says, this is all like a dream right now. What the hell are you talking about? He said, the ringleader with what? And she said, team up against Mel. That was all you. He leaning back like, what? She said, yeah, you. Every chance you got, you ran to anybody who would listen. She said you ran around mutual people. He cuts her off. She said, just own it. Just own it. It's okay. Just own it. He said, no, stop. She said, don't tell me to stop. I'm asking a legit question. I bet you wish by now, Martell, you would have had that family dinner and not this separate foolishness that you thought you was going to have with Mel at a table for two. He said, that's your problem. She said, oh, what's my problem? Tell me. He said, stop with all that negativity. You want to invite her to a private table at her family vacation that you were invited to discuss a negative past, and you tell her she's being negative for bringing up aspects of that negative past. In her confessional, Mel said, Martell telling me to stop being negative is typical of Martell and his gaslighting, because he gaslights as a way to deflect accountability. She said, I have been positive this whole trip, but I do have my limits and I have my triggers, and this conversation that he decided to have and this whole private dinner is bringing out the other side of Mel. Back at the table, she said, oh, you think that's my problem? That I have a problem being negative? He said, look, we're trying to be positive and on a good note for them. So yes, please stop now with the negativity. In his confessional, he said, so I don't know who dropped the ball, Melody or myself, in this conversation. But right now, regardless of who dropped the ball, I think the conversation is going left. He said, but hopefully he can reel it back in. So they move on a little bit, okay? And she said, listening to your mom talk today about, basically the communication style she had in raising her kids, I see that you had to learn how to figure out a lot of stuff on your own. Us having children, and experiencing things like divorce, that's something that you, Martell, nor I experienced before. So this is new for us. She said, what do you think about parenting classes? Professionals that can help children and families deal with divorce. He said he was open to it. She's glad to hear that. And he said, me being here is not just because you asked me. He said, I'm here because I wanted you to know that I am apologetic for the things that I put you through. She said, you're apologetic of those things. He said, of course. She said, what's the difference between now you're being apologetic compared to how you were apologetic a couple of years ago? He said, because now I understand. He said, because a lot of times in the past, when I apologized, I did so, but I didn't understand fully what I was apologizing for. But now I'm in a different space, so I don't have to point the finger at you. He's accepting 100% and taking accountability of everything that he's done. Because I know that what I did was the ultimate demise of our family, period. Now he's getting around to, I guess, what he really wanted to say and why he felt it necessary to have a separate table. Still could have allowed them to have a family vacation and have this conversation on a different date. But if he went through all the trouble to do this and have her sit there, I'm glad he's finally getting around to saying what he's saying. He continued, he said, I am sorry. I'm sorry for all the things that I put you through. And I'm sorry for all the things that I put the kids through. He said it was major. And the stupidity that I put forth and me pointing the finger at you concerning things that I felt you weren't doing, I shouldn't have done that. I should have pointed at myself so that he could have been a better person in the marriage. He said, but now he can't sit here and apologize because he know he did wrong. He said, and that's why I did this. I wanted to sit down so that I can apologize to you and hoping that you receive it well. And she starts smiling and said, I receive it. In her confessional, she said, Martell and I, we got married very young, so we literally grew up together. She said there was a friendship there. There were a lot of life experiences that they shared. She said she's hoping that they can get back to the root of what they had when they first started together, which was a friendship. The romance is gone, the interest is gone, but the friendship can hopefully still be there. He told her, I'm not gonna lie, you deserve 1,000 apologies because we had everything mapped out. And what we had was a beautiful thing. Woo! This trip is putting Martell through it. Okay, it has him remorseful. It has him sitting with levels of regret. If he takes what he learned and apply it rather than waste the life experience, it will be a good lesson for his future. So it's the next day. It's time to go. Mel is sitting outside on her phone. Martell walks out. They chit chat a little bit, and so she says, yeah, so you know what? I just want to say that the trip has been great. I can tell everybody enjoyed it. She said, and I can say that last night I was shocked that you had a table just for me and you. Because, we don't do that. He said, but we don't do this. And he's talking about the vacation. Then he turns it into, yeah, we haven't had a vacation for a couple of years. And I felt like if I can give a little, you can give a little. Well, wait a minute, Martell, you saying it as though you did her a favor by coming on the trip. You see how again, there go your communication stylist in the toilet, because you're talking as if you coming on the trip was doing something for her. And therefore, since you did this for her, she can then return the favor and sit at a private table with you in exchange. He said, so if I invite you to a private table to come sit with me and talk, you should be cool with that. There you go again, telling her how she should feel about whatever. You did the same thing with inviting the Scotts. You said how she should feel about being around the Scotts. You are emotionally impulsive. And you're very reactive. She told him, let me finish my statement because you coming off real funny right now. She said, but I was trying to say going forward, in order for us to move on and everything be okay, it's not necessary for us to keep revisiting the past. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, or I wish I had have known. That's not productive at all. She told him, I don't think any of that matters, and I think that's something that we should stay away from. She said, because as long as we do that, we'll keep moving forward. He said in his confessional at dinner, he really wanted Mel to open up and let him know where he went wrong. But again, for what? She no longer cares that you care about where you went wrong in the marriage. That time has passed for her, and you didn't care soon enough. It's all after the fact that you want to know where you went wrong. $1 short and 2 years late. Continuing in his confessional, he said he wanted to know what went wrong. He said Mel doesn't want to talk about the past, but he feels like if he were to get married again, he would want to know she is not there to coach you, give you tips on how to handle your future wife. Are you delusional? You gots to be. He said he does want to grow and he wants his next marriage to be successful. Well, first of all, you can start off by not doing what you told her, and that was whatever you did caused the ultimate demise of your marriage. How about you start with not doing that? Start there. In her confessional, she said, I definitely don't believe that Martell is ready to see me dating somebody right now, because it wasn't just too long ago when I had to stop him from crashing one of my dates. And when I confronted him about it, he was like, I'm gonna do what I want to do and I'm gonna keep doing it. Didn't I say emotionally impulsive? She says she's hoping over time that he can accept that they are really done and that there's no coming back from that, and therefore he needs to just move on. So it's time for everybody to leave, and everybody is heading out with the exception of Mel. She stays behind. And in her confessional, she says she is super pleased with how things turned out, and it was worth it when she saw the smiles on her kids' face. And the episode ends. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell button, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. And until next time, take care. Peace.